Peace, 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 you powerful ass manifestors. Hey, YouTube. Welcome back to episode. Y'all, we on episode 5. So that means I've been doing this for 5 weeks. Glory, look at me. Okay, you got to celebrate the little wins. All right. I've been doing podcasts before. This ain't my first time doing podcasts. Okay. But I'm really excited about seeing this one grow. I'm excited. Glory. And enough about me. My Leo be Leoing. But anyway, peace, you powerful manifestors. It is I, your favorite and finest prophetess Asha. Alhamdulillah. 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 So I hope you guys are feeling well, doing well, because we are fine. Yeah. The hell is going on? I said what I said. Okay. But y'all, I love this episode today though. You know what I'm saying? Because I think it's a topic that many people talk about or they attempt to speak on and they know nothing about. I'm bougie. Okay. But anyway, we are talking about y'all see the title. Okay, we are going to be talking about the divine masculine and divine feminine, the divine union, uniting the divine feminine and divine masculine within inside yourself. I wrote a book not too long ago. Well, it was a couple of years ago, and it was on the 7 hermetic principles, and it was teaching you how to manifest using the 7 hermetic principles. And one of those principles, the last one actually, is the principle of gender, and it has nothing to do with a man or a woman. Okay, the principle of gender, it is a duality. It is the masculine and feminine within inside ourselves. So I wanted to come on here today because I really believe that we need clarity when it comes to things like that, right? So I'm excited to go ahead and delve into this topic. Okay, it's like a sacred dance, right, between the masculine and feminine. And once you be hearing about the twin flame journeys and all this and that, but people don't understand twin flame journeys, and I guess I'm gonna have to do an episode on that too, because people got it twisted when it comes to that, right? So when you're on a twin flame journey, it's about you have to unite the divine masculine and feminine within yourself before you come into alignment with your twin. Okay. And it won't happen before that. And also twin flame relationships are for highly evolved souls. Okay. And I know everybody wants to think like they highly evolved. Okay. But glory. Okay. We just let people be great. All right. But it's a sacred dance between the divine masculine and feminine within inside of ourselves. Okay. So if you want better relationships, okay, if you have any imbalance in relationships, if you want harmony in your life or inner peace, okay, then this is definitely going to be beneficial for you in knowing this information, because being able to look at it, I believe from this perspective, you'll get more of an understanding. Oh, y'all, I'm fine. Okay, this ain't about me. You'll get more of an understanding of what the divine masculine and divine feminine is. Yeah. Okay. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. I like this doing live too. I like it when it's live. I got to figure out how to, because there was a picture. I'm gonna see if I can go back when I get on YouTube after I go back and do this and then put the picture up there, right? So, but let's get into it. Divine masculine. What is divine masculine? Is that the man's man? Is that what that is? No, it's not. That's not what divine masculine means. Even if you are a woman, you have a divine masculine energy. Okay, so. And of course, within the duality, there's duality. Okay. So these things get deep. This is how we are an interconnected web that just keeps growing and growing and growing as we evolve more and more. Right. So within the divine masculine, okay, there is a light and a dark, a shadow and a light, I would say, right? So if you are in your shadow side, or if you are, I'll say balanced, I'll say, I don't want to say healed, but healing. You'll know if you have a balanced divine masculine, if you have structure, logic, you're protecting yourself, you're taking action, you're present, and you have clarity, right? So you'll know if you have like I don't want to say toxic masculinity, but that's what it is, right? But it has nothing to do with men, right? So let's just remember that, right? So if you are dwelling in your shadow side, right? So if your divine masculine needs some work, if you need to show your divine masculine some love, then you'll be controlling, you'll be dominating, you'll be emotional, and you'll be suppressing things. Don't shoot the messenger. Do not shoot the messenger. Okay. So, you have a wounded divine masculine if you love to control things. Okay. Because there's a balance. So if you're if you're too controlling, you want to dominate things, you're overly emotional. And see, that's what I'm saying. They want to call you like your feminine energy when you're over emotional. No, you're too emotional. That's also a sign that you are in your shadow side of your divine masculine. And when you suppress emotions, okay, whether the whether you try to suppress dreams, whether you try to suppress your emotions, whether you try to suppress your feelings, whatever it is, okay, because we have to be able to flow, beloveds, flow. You have to. This is why it's good to talk to people. This is why it's good to journal. Excuse me. This is why it is good to journal, okay, because it helps balance that divine masculine. Okay, when you journal, when you get things out, you can get some structure. Okay, you can get some logic about some things. All right. So what is divine feminine? So when you have a healthy divine feminine, and this is in my men too, and I want y'all to understand this, it has nothing to do with it has nothing to do with that. Okay. It has nothing to do with that. All right. I really want y'all to understand that, because my men, when y'all understand, okay, because I love y'all so much. So when y'all understand that you have a feminine side as well, you have feminine energy that dwells within you, and it has nothing to do with what society has taught you feminine energy is. Okay, you will begin to embrace this side, and trust me, when this ain't gonna take away from I love, that's one of my toxic traits. I love a man to take control, right? Glory, right? But this is not going to take from any of your manliness. Okay. This is not what that is, right? So when you have a balanced divine feminine, you're using your intuition, you're being creative. A lot of y'all probably use it and you don't even realize it, right? So discernment, intuition, you're using your creativity, you're flowing through life. So that means you're not controlling, you're allowing things to flow. You control what you can control, and then whatever you can't, you're allowing it to flow. You're releasing, you're surrendering, you're letting go and letting God. That's part of the feminine energy. Okay. So you're nurturing, you're receptive, and also you show emotion. Okay. So in the other one, when you're emotional, when you have a wounded divine masculine and you're emotional, you're probably reacting, okay, off of external stimuli or whatever is going on within you, right? So there's no logic there, okay? You have to learn how to process your emotions, right? So your feminine energy helps you process your emotions, right? So if you are having a wounded divine feminine, and this is for my ladies too, right? Then you will be passive. All right. So they go that passive aggressiveness, letting people walk all over you, not setting boundaries. Okay. That's part of feminine energy. So you would possibly have overindulgence, over dependence. Okay. So either you are looking for validation or you are codependent. You're depending on certain things, certain situations. Okay. And just being emotionally overwhelmed. Okay. Again, wounded divine masculine and feminine. Now we are both, and I say this all the time, we are both, regardless of gender. Okay. And integration is the path of integration is the path to wholeness. We want to be whole, right? We want to be able to, and I'm gonna give an example of how I use my divine masculine and feminine every day. That's the yin yang, is what spirit is saying, right? That's the yin yang symbol, right? That's the balance symbol, the dark and the light. Okay. And I say this all the time. In order for a battery to work, you have to have a positive and negative charge. And I'm not saying negative as in a negative connotation. That is not what I'm saying, right? Because that's what society wants you to think. That's not it. So we are both of them, and we have to learn how to we have to learn how to keep them balanced in order to become balanced within ourselves, you guys. All right. So let's talk about the essence here. Okay, hold on. I got to get a sip. All right. Flow, structure, focus, logic, protection. Okay. So these are the things like, okay, so in your life, so spirit is getting me to tell y'all how I balance my divine masculine and feminine. And there are ways to balance it, y'all. Meditation, right? If you don't know how to meditate, then please, send me a message and we'll set that up and I will teach you, right? So meditation, also being aware of my emotion awareness. I did a podcast about awareness and how important and an imperative it is for you to know your emotions, for you to be aware of what you're feeling and what your emotions and what your thoughts are, right? Because your thoughts are going to dictate whatever energy that you're in. And mind you, some days are better than the others, right? Because I'm telling you, bruh, over the last couple of days, bruh, I could have slapped several bitches. Several. Okay, several. All right. So you gotta learn how to offer yourself grace, and that's part of embodying that feminine energy, right? So I'll just use that as an example. Over the last couple of days, right, I wasn't able to hear my spirit correctly. I didn't. I was overly emotional. I couldn't stay focused. I couldn't really create nothing. I didn't feel like I was in the flow. I was out of balance. I was misaligned, right? And this is why I'm always telling you guys to stay the fuck aligned. Okay. Because sometimes we get misaligned and that's okay. The whole point is that we have the tools and the techniques to help us realign ourselves. Okay. So living too much in the masculine and I always say doing too much of anything is not good for you. Okay. It's all about balance when we're in this realm. Okay. So living too much of your masculine, you'll get burnt out and you'll have an emotional shutdown. This is why mental health is real. And this is why I think I also just want to teach this, right? So hopefully it'll help people understand because I've battled a lot of dark nights. I battle with mental health issues, right? Like being depressed, getting depressed, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, not wanting to be here type shit. Like those thoughts have run through my head. And luckily, I've never had to take medicine. God has always, uplifted me out of the darkness because even in the darkness, God is there, beloveds. You know what I'm saying? So it's all about, are we listening? Are we listening to the signs and synchronicities that God is telling us even in the dark days? Because when you are weak, God is strong. Okay. Although I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, death is transformation. All right. So I will fear no evil. So there's nothing for us to fear when we're in those dark places. So God puts us in those places because there's something that needs to come out of us that needs to heal. And so when we can look at it from this aspect, we can try to figure out, okay, well, let me love on myself some more because obviously I have a wounded feminine, or maybe I need to go and put some action towards some things. I need to push myself, because procrastination is a real thing, right? So maybe I need to push myself, because I feel this heavy energy on me, okay, and I have a wounded divine masculine. And like spirit has taught me as I've been healing, and because it has a lot to do with the masculine energies that were in my life too, right? We sometimes tend to see masculine energies as domineering, as controlling, as angry. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're able to heal those things, you begin to heal them within yourself, because when you see because my dad always worked all the time. That's all he did. He neglected his family for work. You know what I'm saying? So I would do that. I would neglect myself because I would constantly push myself, my masculine energy. Okay. And so when I wasn't able to, like when something didn't work the way that I wanted it to, or something didn't happen the way that I wanted it to, or something didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to, and then I would be hard on myself. I wouldn't use my divine feminine, right? I would not offer myself grace. I would not love on myself. You know what I'm saying? That emotional, that negative self-talk, I would always talk to myself negative, which then in turn, with this divine masculine, and really divine masculine's on the right side, right? So with this divine, with my divine masculine, with it being wounded, it's telling me I'm not good enough. is telling me, that's why I say ego is not always thinking that you're better than somebody, right? Ego is also, your ego will also tell you you're not good enough. Your ego will also tell you you can't do it. You're not doing enough. You need to do more. You need to push more. And we're going into a season in our lives where we are now, where we're going to be able to do less and get more. I don't care what nobody say. That's what manifestation is. Okay. Man has taught us that we have to work all the time, hard as fuck for shit. And we don't. I promise you, we don't. All right. So now you do work hard, because when you go after your passions, when it's something that you're passionate about, you're going to work hard for it anyway. Nobody's going to have to make you do that. That's why I'm always talking about passion over power, passion over popularity, right? Because when you have a passion, when you have a purpose, you're going to do that anyway. Nobody's going to have to push you. It's something that's in you. It's a calling. Come on, God, teach your people. Okay. So when I had a wounded divine masculine and I was seeing masculine energy in a skewed way, then I was seeing myself in skewed ways. And so me being able to tell my masculine energy, look, beloved, I got it. Rest. Okay. God got us. Okay. When it's time to take inspired action, then I know I'm gonna let you loose. You're gonna take action. You're gonna bring that structure together. You're gonna bring that order together. Okay. But you got to let me create. And sometimes creating means being still. That's that feminine energy. Okay. You got to trust me. I'm using my intuition here. I'm flowing with the universe. Okay. Nurturing. All right. Nurturing. So my divine feminine would nurture my divine masculine, telling it to calm down, relax. Okay. You just need to relax. All right. You're doing good enough. And this is where affirmations come in. You know what I'm saying? You're doing good enough. You're doing enough. You got to trust God. You got to trust the process. You know what I'm saying? So, living too much in your feminine, it will keep you stuck and indecisive and overwhelmed. And Lord knows, okay, we will. That's what I said. Like, whenever, and this is how you may be feeling like you're bipolar. Okay, this is how you may be feeling like if you've ever been labeled bipolar or something like that, it's probably just because, and I said this when I wrote my book, when I learned about the principle of polarity, right? So it was like, literally, okay, I don't think people are bipolar. We just need to learn how to manage our emotions. We just need to learn how to, identify them. There's a word, correctly. Thank you, God. We have to learn how to correctly identify them, because a lot of us, we misplace energy. Okay. So we label energy that is frustration. We label it as anger, or vice versa. Anger energy, will label it as frustration. Okay. So when you learn, okay, no, that's anger. Okay. That's frustration. That's grief. That's loss. And then you're able to, better balance your divine masculines and your divine feminines, right? So in relationship, codependency, all right, miscommunication and toxic roles. This is how you know if you're in a relationship. If you're in a relationship, and this is why I said with the twin flame unions, you have to be able to balance your masculine and feminine within yourself before you even come into union. You're coming in balanced individuals. That's why it's a highly evolved relationship, because it takes a lot. Okay. This takes a lot to get to this point. So anybody who's able to get to the point where they are identifying their divine masculine and divine feminine energy and learning how to, because it's a daily thing. Okay. It's a daily thing. So when you're daily learning how to balance that, okay, you my kind of people, right? So codependency, I suffered a lot from codependency, and I didn't even realize I was codependent because I was so independent. Okay, like I was always the one who had to take care of everything and everybody. You know what I'm saying? So like I was always the one who, had the money people came to. I was always the one who had it all together type shit. So I didn't even think that I had codependency issues until a tower moment came. And I talk a lot about the sisterhood that I created, right? Because I'll never mention them. Never. Okay. But the sisterhood is something that I created. Glory. Okay. So and it wasn't a failure. You know what I'm saying? It was definitely a lessons that I had to learn when I was as I was creating and cultivating that sisterhood, right? So but when spirit came and brought a tower moment and shut that shit all the way down, I realized I was codependent. I actually told somebody, I was like, I don't know what I would do if you weren't here. Yeah, I know now. Yeah, I'm gonna keep fucking going. Yeah, I'm gonna keep going because God is my source. Okay, God's rod and His staff, they comfort me. I don't need nobody else, beloved. And when I say I mean that, I mean that. Okay, and so like that was the first chance of me realizing, okay, yeah, you are a little codependent. You think that you need somebody to validate you. You think that you need somebody to tell you you're great, to push you, okay, to do all this. And you don't need nobody but God and your spirit team. And that's what I learned. And it's funny because when I learned that, that's when the people actually came in and began to support me. Okay. Once I got the people out my life who were fake supporting me or who had ulterior motives, okay, or who didn't really like me for me, talking about me behind my back and shit, they just weren't there. They weren't for me. Okay. So once I got rid of those people, it was like I skyrocketed. It's like I started to, and I went into God hid me in His secret tabernacle. Okay. So I was in God's secret tabernacle, healing, okay, being able to find some balance between my divine masculine and feminine. Because it was crazy. I was all over the place. I was in a very dark place. I didn't want to be here. Okay. Like my emotions, I couldn't create nothing. I couldn't manifest anything. So all these are signs of your divine masculine and feminine, being out of whack here. Okay. So being imbalanced. Thank you, God. So let's talk about the sacred unions because I talked a little bit about that. Right. So when you learn how to balance these energies, okay, within yourself, then you will come into sacred union, right? So a lot of this people like to say, okay, uh um father, mother, child, right? That's sacred union. Okay. So it's like you create a new version of yourself when you do that. When you balance the two, they come together, and I told you it's like a little dance, right? And so when they come together, then you are a new creation, right? God can't put new wine in old wineskin. So it's very important that you learn how to do this right here, right? So what does balance look like? Doing with presence, feeling with groundedness. Okay. So when you're doing with presence, right? And so, like I said, being aware, and setting goals for yourself, being assertive, that's masculine energy, right? Having some structure, having some order, using your logic here, because a lot of us have big hearts, pure hearts. So we give and give and give. That's that masculine energy that helps us set up boundaries. Okay. No, 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 no. Okay. Because our feminine energy will be like, oh, let me do it. Let me love on you. Let me nurture you. Okay. And then the masculine energy has to come in inside yourself. You can love them. Okay. You can love them, but from afar. Love them from over there. Forgiveness does not mean access. Okay. So you can forgive them, you can love them from over there. These people, if they do not know your worth, okay, if they make you feel some type of way, if they continuously try to trigger you, you don't deserve those things. Like, what is it within you that's making you feel like you deserve people to treat you like that? You don't. That's because you are allowing an energy within inside yourself to treat you like you're treating your own self like that. Okay. Because when you unite those, when you come into that sacred union within yourself, you know what I'm saying? So now you are literally right there with God, right? And because when you have those balance, it's like you hear God clearly, you're trusting your intuition, you're taking inspired action, you're creating from your sacral chakra. Okay. You have the confidence that you need to create and to continue to push forward. And it doesn't matter what kind of roadblocks, it doesn't matter what kind of setbacks, because one, you understand like that rejection is my protection. So anything that doesn't come my way, then it wasn't meant for me. Okay. Point blank, period. If you allowing God to lead your life, okay, lead your life. All right, then you're going to learn how to lean on God's unchanging hand, beloved. Okay. So divine love starts within. And that's it. That's like what I've been saying. All right. If you are trying to create something, let's say you're creating something. So let's just say poetry, because I like poetry, right? So let's just say you creating some, you sitting down, you want to write poetry, you're writing poetry. right? So you're writing poetry and then you hit like a block. You get like a writer's block, right? And so you can say to yourself, God, why I can't never create anything? I can never finish anything. I can't never do anything. Okay. You can talk like that and you can allow that lets you know you have a wounded divine masculine, right? Because that divine masculine is going to be like, okay, well, we can come back later, because your divine feminine, he's trusting. Okay. When I say he, I'm just saying those words, right? The divine masculine is trusting in the divine feminine. Okay. Well, I might need to take a rest. I might need to slow down. Okay. I might need to tap in and get some more information about, with my intuition to be able to create some more. And so then it's not so much pressure on you. Then, okay, then the divine feminine can awaken, because before with the divine masculine, if it's always on you, like do this, do this, do this, or you need to do this, you need to finish this, like that just going to cause you more stress and anxiety, which is going to cause a further block, which then you're not going to be able to do any writing. Right. So you have to be able to, okay, your divine masculine, your divine feminine has to be like, look, I need a break. I need to rest. Okay. Like, and then the divine masculine will be like, yeah, you do. It'll be an agreement because you're in union. Right. And then you'll be surprised at when you come back to that, how much flows. Right. Because now you are in alignment. You're in union. They're working together. And this is how you have your relationships work. Okay. Your romantic relationships, your friendships, family, co-workers, business partnerships. When you are in divine union with yourself, honey, can't nobody move you. That's peace. You peace at that point. You're peace. Okay. So healthy masculine holds space for the feminine expression. That's what I just said. Okay. So that's exactly what the masculine was doing when I just gave that example. Okay. So I'm going to hold this space for you because I know you're going to come back and knock this shit out. I know you're going to come back with some fire lyrics. I know you're going to come back here, some fire words here, right? And so then you will be able to, this is how you also, when you unite, then you can see that in other people. You will attract that in other people. Okay. And so then it also helps you with compassion, right? If you are a masculine, if you're a male, if you're a man, right? And you have a balanced divine masculine, right? And so like you will stop being so impatient. You'll stop trying to control shit. You know what I'm saying? You'll stop trying to be domineering. You'll stop having codependency issues because now you are holding space for that divine feminine. All right. If she's not doing something that you like, you know how to express yourself now. All right. Because that divine masculine no longer suppresses the divine feminine. All right. It allows the divine feminine to go ahead and speak the emotions that it needs to speak without feeling weak, without feeling like you a sucker, without feeling, because there are ways to say things. And our men have had to suppress that divine, like creativity has saved y'all. And I ain't gonna hold you. Y'all being able to be creative and operate in your creativity. And I feel sorry for anybody who doesn't have anything creative to do. Okay. But if you have something creative to do, then that's probably has saved you. Okay. So a healthy feminine inspires divine action. Isn't that what we just said? And how that you see how that flows in your other relationships. So if you are a divine feminine, you're not looking at that divine masculine as gimme, gimme, gimme. You're not looking at that divine masculine as domineering, as angry, as controlling. Okay. Because now you're understanding, well, I need to be able to, uplift, inspire, nurture, do all those things that our divine feminine is. So that divine masculine can feel safe and comfortable to hold space for you. It's the same. Okay. As without, so within. Right. So if you want a balanced union, a divine union, we hear a lot of people talking about divine unions, but they don't want to do the work to have the unions. But let me tell y'all something. Spirit said that they're coming into play. So this is why they got me doing this podcast today. I need y'all to get it together so we can get together. Let's get together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, Parent Trap could be very significant. I don't know why that just came out. Okay, so some practical steps for you guys, right? Some tips. Meditate with intention. Okay, like I said before, meditate with intention. What part of me needs softening? And this yoga helps me with this, right? So when I actually the practice today was softening. That's interesting. right? So when I was whenever I'm doing like a plank, or whenever I'm in like downward dogs, whenever I'm using something where it's like using like my biceps and shit, because they're getting strong again, right? So I'm always having to breathe through it. Okay, breath work, very significant. All right, so I'm always having to breathe through it. I'm finding where my body is tense. Okay, I'm bringing awareness okay, to whatever is tense. Okay, and I'm focusing energetically on that area so it can, release. Okay, I can be softer. I don't, when I because she has a go from downward dog, to forward fold, we walk up to the front of the mat. So when I'm walking to the front of the mat, I'm not stomping all hard, I'm walking softly. Okay, being able to take each step very softly, very carefully, very classy, very fucking demure. Okay, so you can ask, what part of me needs softening? What part of you needs softening, my beloveds? Okay, and because we have a lot of women who operate in masculine energy too. So what part of you needs to be soft? Okay, um do you think that because you express your emotions that you're weak? Do you think that people will take advantage of you if you express your emotions? And everybody ain't like that, right? A lot of people come into our lives, the people who have hurt you, all that, the people who have disappointed you, hurt you, they came into your life so you could see more of yourself, so you could develop your intuition, so you could get stronger, okay, wiser, okay, stronger, wiser, better, okay, growth. It was for your benefit. And when you begin to see that, it will become beneficial for you. Okay. So being soft in your emotions, whether you're masculine or feminine, is a need. Okay, is a need. All right. So you want to treat others as you want them to treat you. Right. So if you're being soft in your emotions, or being soft, and spirit is saying compassion, right? Offering yourself compassion, you'll be able to offer others compassion. I had to learn how to forgive myself so I could forgive those other people who have disappointed me in my life. Okay, starting with my mother and my father. Okay, so me being soft with myself, because learning how, being aware that I was too hard on myself, I had to start. If I felt like I didn't do something right, or if I felt like I did something wrong, I had to stop. I had to be able to take my feminine energy and be like, look, babe, it's all good. Like, mistakes make us great. Like, you need to be okay with that. Do it again. Okay, we're gonna do it again. We fail forward around here. Okay, so if it didn't work out, then where do we need to pivot at? Where can you be soft? What needs softening? What part of you needs strengthening? Okay, so some of y'all, like I said, I was a procrastinator. All right, so I had to learn how to, because I literally had to reparent myself. I had to learn how to structure myself. I had to learn discipline. I was always very disciplined. When I worked for somebody, I was always on time. I always had like a good work ethic, right? But when it came to like my business and doing stuff for me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to become more disciplined. I had to become more structured. I had to become more logical, because I was using my heart way too much. Okay, I was in my heart center way too much, right? And it has to be a balance. Like, I had to learn, like, I can be kind and I can be nice and still not be a pushover. Okay, that's kind of what they indoctrinated us with. All right, but we don't let anybody push us over. Okay, if anything, embody that energy that Jesus had when he went in that temple and turned over them damn tables. Okay, embody that energy. All right, so meditating with attention is a way that you can bring it into balance. Journaling, where am I leading from force instead of flow? Where am I leading from force instead of flow? So that's that trying to do it, trying to do it, trying to do it, and I blame that on society, because society is the one who tells you to keep going, keep pushing, keep going, keep pushing. Don't stop, don't stop. And you have to. It's a balance, you guys. You have to. My men, they work so much, and they're going to have to learn how to take days. You need to learn how to take vacation days, okay? More than just once a year or twice a year, okay? Like, it needs to be an everyday thing, okay? So if you working hard, you going hard in the paint one day, like the next day or the next 2 days, like, you need to rest. And don't worry about money. Like, money has a lot to do with it. But when you yoke yourself to God, you understand money flows to me easily. Money flows to me and it stays with me. Money flows to me effortlessly. It wants me. It wants me. Yeah. Okay. You start speaking that, you draw money to you. You attract it to you. That's that feminine energy, baby. Okay. The flow, it flows to you. A lot of people have money blocks because they too focused on finances. Okay. And it's not about the finances. When you operating in your purpose, it's gonna come. All right. A lot of people be asking, especially when it comes to finances, a lot of people be asking for millions of dollars, and you ain't ready. You ain't ready for that. Being a millionaire takes a different kind of mindset, beloved. Trust me when I tell you. That's why everybody ain't one. Okay. And I'm just being honest. Glory. All right. So where am I leading with force instead of flow? So look at yourself and be like, where can I flow at? Where am I trying to force something? Am I trying to force relationships? Am I trying to force this job situation? Am I trying to force this career? What are you trying to force instead of allow to flow? And be aware of that so you can make some changes, right? So, inner child healing and mirror work. Y'all know I talk about this, okay? Inner child healing. I specialize in it. If you need work with your inner child, that's part of my gift because I am a prophetess, okay? So that's part of my gift, all right? So I'm able to see things in you that you don't see in yourselves, okay? I promise you. That's why I see your subconscious. High priestess here, okay? Akashic records. I know. I see more than dead people, okay? Shit. I see the darkness or the dead within you. Come on, glory, God. Okay. I see the shit that needs to lie, be put to bed. Okay. So inner child healing, mirror work. Y'all know about mirror work. I get up in the morning and I say, you're beautiful. I love you. You're courageous. You're creative. Okay. You're needed. You're valued. You're protected. You're safe. You're stable. Okay. So all those things, whenever you're lovable, because I have a tendency of not feeling lovable because of what my inner child healing. Okay. So I have a tendency of not feeling lovable and suffer from rejection issues. So I have to always make myself feel safe. Right. So, and then it says movement and structure. So dance and a plan. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. I told y'all I had to restructure myself. So, and having a plan requires discipline. All right. So I have 7 keys to alignment, and discipline is definitely on there around the throat chakra. Imagine that. God did that. Okay. God did that. Okay. So, and then I love to dance. Y'all be seeing me. I'll be shaking my ass. So I love to dance and yoga. Okay. So anything that you need to do, any kind of movement, go for a walk. Okay. Go to the gym, go exercise. Okay. All these things will help you with the balancing of your divine masculine and your divine feminine. All right. Now we are whole when we're both parts of us. Okay. When both parts of us are heard, we feel heard. Okay. We're able to express ourselves. Okay. Unapologetically, we're able to do that. Okay. When you have a balanced divine masculine and feminine. And again, this has nothing to do, okay, with feminine energy like that. No. And men who think that, you have an imbalance divine masculine. Okay. I'm just telling you. You have an imbalance. Okay. Because that's not what it is. If you are afraid, my beloveds, to say you embody feminine energy, you got a deeper problem. Okay. Because are you not comfortable with your sexuality? I'm just being honest. I'm just being honest. Don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay. So we are whole when both parts of us are heard. And I want y'all to feel whole and I want y'all to feel heard. And I want y'all to come into divine union, because once you do all these things that we talked about in this podcast, you will come into divine union. You will find your other half. Okay. Your divine counterpart, your soulmate. And it will be, I'm telling you, it's going to be a relationship that you never experienced before. Why? Because most people do not balance these emotions within themselves. Okay. So I want you guys to listen to this again, like go back. Okay. I'm going to tell you again what the divine masculine and divine feminine is. Hold on, let me go back up in my notes here. All right. So remember, divine masculine, if you have a healthy divine masculine, you're going to be able to structure things. You're going to be able to think logically. You're going to be able to protect yourself, right? So that means maybe setting up boundaries or doing whatever you need to do, protecting your creativity. You're protecting that divine feminine, right? So the things that you create or that are being birthed from you, you know how to protect them, however that is, whatever you need to do. Okay. There, you'll take inspired action. Okay. You'll take inspired action with clarity. It won't be no confusion. And I always say, God is not the author of confusion. okay? And your presence, you'll be there, be in the now, okay? You can't look too far into the future, you'll get overwhelmed. And if you stay in the past, you get stuck there, you get lost, right? So a healthy divine masculine, structure, logical, protection, action, presence, clarity, okay? So a healthy divine feminine, intuition, creativity, flow, nurturing, receptivity, emotions, right? So we already said creativity, nurturing, okay? So know that you got to have both of those within inside yourself. You as a person, and I'm talking about you who's watching this, okay? You have to have this for yourself. Okay. So if you are creating, right? If there's something that you want to create, and I tell people all the time, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be a entrepreneur, right? You can really do something and work for somebody who have a 9 to 5, and still operate in the things that your creativity. Because some people, like I said, you could have a gift of gab. Okay. So you might be a bomb ass salesman, a salesperson. Okay. Or you might be good at customer service. Okay. You have creative ways. You make people feel good. That's you operating your creativity. Right. So, if you have a balance of that, then that means you're creating, you're doing stuff. Okay. And creativity too. Pottery, crocheting, drawing. You know what I'm saying? Those kind of things are creative too, okay? Planting, gardening, all that comes from a creative space. All that comes from your feminine energy, right? So, but if you are an entrepreneur and you are creating, then you're going to have some kind of structure. Even if you're not, even if you work for somebody, then there's a time you got to get up from work. If you have children, you have to do that, but there still has to be some kind of plan, some kind of action, okay, that will happen, right? And damn, it was something I was going to say, but I lost it. It'll come back. All right. So being able to create and then being able to put some action, okay, making some plans, putting some action behind that structure, structuring yourself. That's what I was going to say. Thank you, God, because God wants y'all to know. All right. Because even if you have a 9 to 5, you need some kind of structure, because you need to be talking to God when you get up. You need to have some kind of daily routine, okay? Some way to tap in, okay? If you do it every day, if you have a daily routine and you tapping in every day, okay, then I promise you, you're going to constantly keep balance. Okay. That's why I stay in such a high vibration. That's why nobody can come and knock me down, because it's something that I do daily. I have structured my life and I take action on that structure daily to be able to, because that is like protecting my creativity. That's protecting what I have created. So that's a balanced emotion here. Right. So no more control, domination, suppressing, being passive, codependent, or being emotionally overwhelmed. If you're feeling like this, it's okay. Honor those emotions, right? But let's get back into balance, beloved. Okay, get those energies into balance. And like I said, I just gave you many ways: meditating, journaling, visualization, talking to somebody. There are many ways to get it moving your body, doing yoga, going for a walk, working out. Okay. And I still feel like even if you do all that, you still need to talk to somebody or journal. Okay. Or do voice notes. I tell people all the time, if you don't want to, if you're not a writer, okay, then get a voice note, okay, and speak that shit. Even if it's just you, speak it into that voice recorder, okay, get it out and be honest, okay. We do a lot of that when in our inner childhood healing sessions, okay. That's one of the first things that I tell my client when they book me for inner child healing, okay, to we writing letters to your mom and daddy. That's the first thing that we doing, not for you to give it to them, but for you to say how you really feel, okay? And I want it uncensored and raw, okay? I want you to be real with yourself, all right? Because a lot of people feel like, oh, I don't want to talk bad about my mom and my dad, and it's not talking bad about your mother and your father, okay? It's about you honoring your feelings and honoring your emotions. It ain't got nothing to do with them. They ain't never got to know about it. They ain't never got to hear it. But the very fact that you're no longer suppressing, okay, shadow divine masculine, the fact that you're no longer suppressing that is what's the issue, okay? That's where the healing is going to come from. You being able to say it out loud and acknowledge it and be aware of it, then you can release it and let it go. But if you're suppressing it, it's just sitting there, okay? And then it can turn into bitterness, resentment. It's a slippery slope. Okay. And it'll start affecting your relationships. Okay. So I invite you to continue to listen to this again. Okay. Come back and take notes. If you want to know more, I think I'm going to do, because I do have a course that I'm creating for this divine masculine and feminine. Okay. So just stay in tune with me. All right. I'm doing a workshop this Sunday, and it's for, again, enhancing your spiritual gifts. So if that's something, then I always put my link tree in all my videos now, or on my other page. Sorry. Okay. Go follow Prophetess Asha Mayat on YouTube. Okay. So please like, share, comment. Let me know what you guys think. Okay. Subscribe, of course. Send this off to somebody else who you feel like you should hear it. But y'all know I love y'all so much. I thank y'all for coming and listening to me. Hopefully it was beneficial for you. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. Okay. So y'all go forth with the power of source behind you. Continue to dare to be different, dare to dream your destiny, and y'all stay the fuck aligned, divine, and fine. Peace, y'all. Y'all know I can't see. I'm blind. Bye, y'all.